Good morning. Good morning to the Douglas County Board of Commissioners and also to the citizens of Douglas County. Welcome to our Monday, March 20th, 2023 work session this morning. All right, I hope everyone had a fabulous weekend. Certainly seems like the winter has arrived again, but that's what March is all about. March goes back and forth, but however, certainly I'll call this meeting to order, and I'll start with roll call. District 1 Commissioner Henry Mitchell III. Present. District 2 Commissioner Kelly Robinson.
Present, Madam Chair.
District 3 Commissioner and Vice Chair Terenia Carthen.
Present.
District 4 Commissioner Mark Alcaraz.
Present. And
Chairman Dr. Ramona Jackson-Jones present. Board of Commissioners, we do have a quorum this morning. Clerk, do we have anyone sign up for public comment today?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
Okay, thank you. Please.
Before I call the name, I'll just remind you, you have 3 minutes to address the board. Once your 3 minutes are up, I will notify you to wrap up your comments, and when you get to the podium, just restate your name and address. So, Ms. Sharon Bachtel.
Good morning, Ms. Bachtel. How are you doing today?
Good morning. Sharon Bachtel, 6331 South Skyline Drive, and I would like to speak about the gratuities. According to the Commissioner's Handbook, the gratuity law stipulates that there has to be a contract for services and a substantial benefit to the general public in return. An MOU is not a legal binding contract. These groups can take the money and use it any way they want. Why weren't the MOUs on the agenda? I only see applications. Shouldn't the citizens be able to see the actual MOUs and what you are voting on and how much each group is receiving? Why was the Economic Development Authority and Health Department taken off the list? I looked at the MOU that was approved for the Chamber of Commerce in March of 2022. All it states is that $75,000 is awarded for promoting and attracting business toward the advancement of the county residents. That is pretty general, and isn't that what the Chamber already does? This county pays the Economic Development Authority $350,000 for doing the same thing. So how was the money actually spent? According to their final report, 30% or $22,500 was spent on 2 award banquets. That's a lot of money for awards. Were these monetary awards? One of the county commissioners received one of these awards, so she voted to give the money to this group and receive something in return. That doesn't seem right. When I asked Open Records for the receipts, the county had none. I called the Chamber of Commerce 2 times to inquire about these expenses and was told that this was a private group and they did not have to give out that information. I was told Sarah would call me back to explain, and she never did. It is the taxpayers' right to know where every dime of their money is spent. Accounting for all funds should be required and backed up by itemized receipts. Didn't our county get dinged for this in a recent audit? This BOC stated that they could not spend tax dollars to promote SPLOST. However, they gave $75,000 to the chamber, who did advertise and promote SPLOST. How do we know that our tax dollars were not used to promote SPLOST since they have no receipts to prove otherwise? If the chamber wants to be lobbyists, they should lobby this BOC to give more contracts to Douglas County businesses. I looked at all the applications that were posted on the agenda. My question is, if this BOC voted to defund the school officers because the school system receives more of the tax money, why are they willing to spend our tax dollars for prom tickets and other school activities? Shouldn't this come from the school budget? I'm not against giving gratuities for worthy groups. I think the Share House and Community Service Board do awesome work for our county. At the last meeting, a citizen said this BOC lacks leadership. I say if this board votes for MOUs instead of actual contracts, it lacks integrity. If this board votes to give money to a group of which they are a member, it lacks integrity. If the BOC votes to give money to groups that their family members, friends, or campaign donors belong to, it lacks integrity. I hope you all do the right thing, and I am asking for transparency. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Batchel. Certainly, we would take this matter under advisement and really appreciate your participation in county government. You do a stellar job, so thank you. Board of Commissioners, we have a presentation this morning, and certainly, Board, before we go into the presentations, I ask if you could, board members, limit your comments to 3 minutes, and then certainly if you have a rebuttal too, so as we continue to manage our time. Our last meeting went pretty well as we continue to look at our time in consideration of our citizens, the ones that are viewing on television. Again, it's a long time to sit somewhere 3 to 4 or 5 hours to watch us talk and go back and forth. So with that being said, we have a 2016 SPLOST update this morning. We have David Good and Terry Gable. This is our monthly update. Good morning, Mr. Good.
Good morning. How you doing, Madam Chair?
Oh, doing well.
I'm just going to go ahead and load my presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, there it goes. Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Board of Commissioners, executive team, stakeholders, citizens and business owners of Douglas County. Again, my name is David Good. I'm here to bring you the revenues that were collected in January and then work through the month of February. First up, we had no projects that was completed in the month of February. We do actually have projects that we are still working on in fire, EMS, transportation, and parks and rec. The finances do remain strong. January's revenue came in at a little over $2.8 million. That's compared to the original projections of $2.1 million. The total revenue since the start of the SPLOST, which was April 2017 until January 2023, is $169.5 million. That's compared to original projections of $143.2 million, which is about $26.3 million over the original projections, and that's 18.4%. Right here, we actually are showing a chart going from basically showing a year of data. That amount is a little over $36 million, and we've been pretty good tracking that. Right now, we actually have first up is fire EMS, which represents 32% of the SPLOST, and this is one of the 11 projects we have in fire EMS. It's been advertised for construction for the fire training complex. That's the burn tower only. The bids are due to purchasing on the 22nd of this month. Next we have next we have transportation, which represents 51% of the SPLOST. Right now we're doing the Chapel Hill widening, the right-of-way. That should scheduled to start this summer. And right now we have a budget of $2.6 million, only going towards design and right-of-way acquisitions. Next up we have the Lee Road widening phase 2, which is currently going on now. If anyone drives through our county, you can see the work that's being done on Lee Road. The SPLOST amount is $10 million. The overall amount is 19.7 million. $19.7 million. And what comes from that is that the rest of the amount comes from the state. Right now, we actually have ongoing is the grading operations, utility relocation, and drainage work. We're about 15% complete on that project. And then finally, we have the last 17% going towards parks and rec. And we have the BLR and fair play fence and dugout replacement. We actually did a walkthrough last week. Myself, Terry Gable, Gary Watson, and then also the vendor, and that came in at a cost of $1.56 million, and we're now doing the punch list because most of the work has been completed by the 1st of March, and both parks are going to be closed out. So, Madam Vice Chair, we will be looking forward to doing a groundbreaking ceremony over there at BLR. Next up, and then as well as fair play. And then that is it for me. It's a pretty quick presentation, and we have Terry Gable from Atlas to help answer any questions. With that, Madam Chair, I turn it back to you.
Okay, thank you so much. I believe you meant to say Gary Dukes.
Yeah, Gary Dukes. Like you said,
Yeah, I see him smiling back there.
Sorry, Dukes.
Okay, Board of Commissioners, do we have any questions for David Good or either Terry Gable at this time regarding the SPOS. Okay, Commissioner Robinson, you have the floor.
All right, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
And I'll try to keep it tight, but as long as staff is tight, then we can be quick. But if they're not, then that's why we go long sometimes. All right, so my question is, how much was this SPOS supposed to be again? Originally 143?
Yes, sir. 147.
147. And we're coming in right now at what, 160?
Right now, we're at 169. We're projecting
169.
172.
All right, so we think we'll finish out at 172?
Yeah, that's what we're looking at. If everything still tracks a little bit above last year, we'll sit in at 172.
All right, so the SPOS is over effectively, what, in 8 days, 9 days, 11 days?
Yes, the revenues collection, yes, sir.
All right. All right, so again, pay attention in that you can't take for granted, administration, government, this penny. It's going to be over. Right, now you got to move on. You got to finish what you currently got in pocket, and you got to get ready for the next round that you were so blessed to get. Our processes internally cannot slow down progress. There must be alignment across the system. And we can't be in our little myopic worlds and believing that to the county administrator, there must be alignment. You're going to have 2 spots going simultaneously. 2. Perhaps 2 different teams, same team, including your staff, that's going to be multiplied across multiple meetings. And remember, I will not stop saying this until I get what needs to happen for the administration. That y'all are ready to take this on. That's why I do it. Give it back. Turn it off. Because if I don't see the responsiveness that I think is necessary, then it's like, well, I ain't got no problem. I can change my mind all day long. Y'all know me. I am serious about this program manager. All right, that's all I have to say, Madam Chair. I yield. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, Board or Commissioners? Vice Chair, you have the floor.
Good morning, Mr. Good.
Good morning.
I see the February project activities, and some of these will continue probably into 2024.
Yes,
Does Atlas have a schedule for us that aligns which projects y'all are working on and what will be the completion dates? Now that we're getting ready to go into the 2022 SPOS, we need to see what you guys are working on, what needs to be closed out. So I would like to see a report from Atlas that helps us to see that and shows us that. Especially, with some of the projects that are in my district, like the Chapel Hill Road widening, right? So
Correct.
I need to be able to give citizens an update as to what's coming down the pipe. Because this weekend was a mess. I had people calling me and texting me about the traffic on Chapel Hill. Apparently there was an accident and it was taking people like 30, 40 minutes to get 1 mile. So these are the types of things that I need to be conveying to my constituents about where their tax dollars are going, when things will be wrapped up, what is to come, right? We can't force everything, but we can at least give them an update. So if Atlas could get that, I'm pretty sure the full board would like to see that, especially when it comes to the fire training and all the projects that fire has going. Once we get these bids back in and awarded, what that project timeline looks like. So I would like to see that from you guys as well.
Sure. And what we do also have is we do have the monthly report, and I'll make sure that you guys actually have a copy of that because it shows the time of where it starts to where it ends, and then if it goes over budget or if it goes under budget, it shows that same information. So I'll make sure that you do have that.
Got
Make
it.
sure all the commissioners have that.
Thank you so much. And then I would like to do a ribbon cutting as opposed to a groundbreaking, because
That's fine. Sorry,
groundbreaking
ribbon
will not work. Thank you
Yes.
so much. Madam Chair, I yield.
She said she'd rather have a ribbon cutting.
Yes, ribbon
You heard
cutting.
that.
We'll make sure of that.
If you could, for us, David Good or either both you and Terry Gable could just give some more explicit information for the citizens for the widening of Chapel Hill. I agree with the Vice Chair. Ooh, it's very congested in that area because, we have all our retail and shopping and all the things, the food is exciting, but can you just kind of give the citizens where that widening will start? And I know it's not going to be at the top of where all the food places are, but if you could just share
Sure.
with the
What I'll do is
citizens.
I'll go ahead and bring up Director Suleiman, who's over transportation. He probably has a
Yes.
little bit more detailed information
Okay.
than I would have.
Director Rana.
Good
Deputy
morning, Madam
Director.
Chair
Good morning.
and Board of Commissioners. So I believe the question's about the schedule of,
Yes, schedule, and then just talk about the logistics, and then
Sure.
speak about where the widening will start, the specific location on Chapel Hill.
so we're in design phase and pretty much done with the design and wrapping that up. We recently had a progress meeting. The location of this project is just at the intersection of Chapel Hill and West Chapel Hill. That's where the project starts. This terminates at Anawaki or Dorset Shoals Road. As far as the timeline goes, just after this design is completed and wrapped up, we're currently pending few permits and last permissions from WSA, given the extensive stormwater management that has to be taken place for this project. Once that's done, we'll be in right-of-way acquisition. The right-of-way acquisition will take about 2 years for completion. Now, that is a conservative estimate. We will use this timeline to tighten things up as we progress, but that is the timeframe that we have penned for now. Post right-of-way acquisition, the construction phase will take about 24 months,
24 months.
another 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. Okay.
Yes.
All right, well, you were very explicit with your conversation and your, so the citizens just have an idea. So it'll be a 2-year project. Thank you. All right.
4
Yes.
4-year.
Right.
Wow. Okay. All right, thank you. But, thank you, we appreciate you. I learned very quickly upon taking office, roads take forever to bring to fruition, but it is really well worth it once it happens. Okay, any other questions, board? Okay, very good, thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay. Board of Commissioners, please be prepared to approve the minutes tomorrow. We have the commission meeting minutes of March 7th, 2023, and the work session meeting minutes of March 6th, 2023, and the executive session meeting minutes of March 6th, 2023. Just please review those minutes and be prepared to review and approve accordingly. Okay, we'll go to our financial report. Do we have any updates, or this is just okay? It's for tomorrow. Okay, thank you so much. Rosalind Miller will present that to us tomorrow, Board of Commissioners, for the acceptance of the monthly financial budget report. Board of Commissioners, we have a proclamation tomorrow, which is tab number 4, proclaiming March 2023 as Arts and Culture and Humanities Month here in Douglas County. I can say that we have done an extraordinary job celebrating arts, culture, and humanities within the last 6 years, and we want to continue the trend, and the citizens really appreciate the art. It's just so nice to see the variations of arts that's located throughout our county. County Administrator, do you have any business this morning?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, Board of Commissioners, we're going to move right on to tab number 5, which is grants. We have approval to accept the Violence Against Women Act, VAWA, as part of the Title 4 grant of the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act of 1994, Public Law 103-322, a federal grant administered by the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council in the amount of $53,849 with a local in-kind match of $17,950, and amend the budget and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. We have
Melissa
Hey, Melissa, good
Hey,
morning. I was
how
getting ready
are
to say
you?
Sonia Compton, but Melissa, what's your last name?
LeBlond.
LeBlond, thank you. We have Melissa LeBlond here this morning to present. You have the floor.
Thank you. So this is just a continuation grant. It is not a competitive grant, and it is for the amount of $53,849 with an in-kind match, or you know what? It says in-kind match. That's supposed to be cash match.
Okay. Clerk, if we could make a note of that as cash. Okay.
Yes, cash match of $17,950. Let me just verify that to make sure that that part's right. Yes. The cash match is coming from the Director of Victim Services, which is me. Part of my salary is that cash match.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
That's all.
Any questions, board, for Melissa LeBlanc? All right, thank you. Okay. Commissioner Robinson, you have the floor.
Now, say that again. So $53,000 grant, right? Did I hear
Yes.
it? All right, and you're the director of, what's your title again? I'm sorry.
Director of Victim Services.
Director of Victim Services, and you're bringing this forth on your own behalf, and it's and it has a cash match, not an in-kind. And so it's coming out of a budget that you currently have, or it's coming out, I'm trying to follow this math here, how they structure this. This is not you, just, you're okay.
I gotcha.
Explain it to me, please.
I gotcha. So when we do our grant timesheets that are turned into the CJCC, or if we are under a site visit from the CJCC, my time on that timesheet is going towards grant-related activities. So that's how the cash match works.
Okay.
We've done it in the past, we just haven't had to do it in 2 years because of the pandemic, and the CJC has always waived the match, and then they stopped waiving it.
Right, which is to that point, when you do little nudges, it's like, wait a minute, you went from in-kind, you use what you usually had in place, and then it all of a sudden became cash. Right.
We've had in-kind on one grant and cash for another grant, 'cause we have 2 grants in our office. We have a VOCA grant and a VAWA grant.
And that's for your salary, to make your office, your department exist? Is that how it works?
It's for, so this particular VAWA grant is for our domestic violence prosecutor, and it funds her part of her salary, not her whole salary.
I have no problem with the end goal. Trust me, I'm all for it. I was just curious about the structure and the administrative finance. Can y'all help me with this? Are y'all aware of this? You know what? Don't even respond. I'm okay. I can take this offline. I'm gonna keep this moving because I actually do get it. Just sort of, thank you for clarifying for us on what we're looking at and what we're about to vote on. And I can take it offline. I'm fine. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I yield. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, board? All right, thank you so much, Melissa. Board, we're going to move on to tab number 6, authorization for the Douglas County Sheriff's Office to apply for a DOJ, Bureau of Justice Assistance FY23 body-worn camera policy implementation program to support law enforcement agencies, grant in the amount of $194,000 with a 50% match of $97,000 to be funded through the Sheriff's Office budget, allocating $2,000 per camera to cover the cost of the camera and all additional resources needed to formalize policies and procedures for a body-worn camera for law enforcement agencies, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Lieutenant Colonel Pounds. That was a mouthful.
Good morning. This is Susan Shahada. She's our grant
Hey,
writer.
Susan.
And behind her is Rod Ross. He's our IT director.
Yes.
So she's going to be going over the grant, and any questions you have for your body cameras, he'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. Again, I write and manage all the grants for the Sheriff's Office, and the grant that we wanted to present today is from opportunity from the U.S. Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance. I know you all see body cameras all the time working here in the courthouse, but I brought one just in case anyone wants to look at it up close, turn it on and off, and play with it, or if anybody wants to see it, I'm happy to bring it up. All right, right now, we have 210 body cameras, and we need 97 more to ensure that all of our law enforcement personnel have body cameras. We need them everywhere. We need them in warrants, we need them in investigations, and at the jail, and on patrol. And because we don't have enough, some of our departments are sharing, which creates a little bit of a administrative issue with storing and retrieving the data when we need that. And to kind of put everything into context for the need, I pulled all the data for 2022, and we had 84,906 calls for service that required a deputy response. So, you know, that's a lot of folks that were out there helping every day. In addition to those folks, we have deputies, you know, what do they call the, serving warrants, helping with evictions. There's just a lot of things that the deputies are out there for every day. And so the body cameras are basically for the safety, not only of the officer, but the community as well. It's important. The transparency is very important to the Sheriff's Office. And if a community member ever has a problem with a deputy, the sheriff will invite him in to his office, and they all sit down and they review the body cam footage right then and there. If the deputy is determined that they did something wrong, the sheriff will take care of it immediately. Our sheriff does not play. And on the other hand, if the sheriff determines that nothing occurred that was wrong, he will support his deputy. And so that's, transparency, again, is very important to the sheriff. Now, the specifics of the grant. It is, if we were awarded, we would receive $194,000, but the 50% match, the $97,000, we don't have. So that's why I'm presenting today. I know it's a lot. A 50% match is a lot for a grant, but this grant is fairly comprehensive in that it will not only buy the cameras, but it will also provide us with 3 years of cloud storage for those 97 cameras. And the storage is very expensive. So if we were just able to go out and purchase 97 cameras, we would get, well, for $97,000, we would get that, but we'd only get 1 year of storage for the cameras. And because it's an important issue, that's why we're here today, to see if there's any opportunity for assistance so that we can apply for this grant. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, board? Commissioner Robinson, you have the floor.
All right. Thank you for that. That was very good. And to your point, the ask is 50%, which is that's a pretty hearty
It
match,
is a lot.
which is okay, but it's okay. And again, back to the context of crime, while this is, we love to, crime prevention is important, but also if it does occur, we've got to solve things. And we need all the tools that we can get. This is a parlay into not only cameras on you guys, but also in the community, which is some legislation I'm putting forth that should be on this agenda later on today that we'll talk about in key areas. You can't be isolated to just being the human running down the street. You can have some strategic target areas that can help you guys do what you do, which I support 100%. I have no problem with the $97,000. We just got to find out where they're going to pull it from. I'm going to ask that in just a second. All right, so cloud storage is important. 84,000 calls, I get it. On everybody, I get it. Does every deputy have a weapon?
A weapon?
Yes.
Yes. Right?
So-
Yeah.
right.
Except for the jailers.
Except for the jail, all right.
Yeah.
Does everybody have body? I mean, I'm thinking about basic armor, basic what you guys need. So if in fact this is important to do your job, whether it's a helmet for the fire guys or whatever they put on, I think this is something that should just be base. I mean, it should be part of the equipment. It should be part of your shield, your uniform, cameras, gun. What is the base uniform? Can you get, without getting into any secret squirrel stuff, but what normally comes? Because I want to know what we're funding, so that stuff should be part of it. You shouldn't have to come like this. This is basic maintenance. Thou shalt provide for the sheriff. Can you explain that, please?
Yeah. Since we're both civilians.
They have a ballistic vest,
Yes,
they
sir.
have a weapon, they have magazines, they got the leather gear where they put their duty ammo and handcuffs. And if they're on the CERT team, or which is our SWAT team, everybody, we'd have different equipment for that, but for the specialized units.
Got it. Shoes? No?
Yes, boots. Yes, sir.
Got it. Okay. That's good enough just as a base. And again, we know technology has advanced. But I think that this should be part of the base uniform, right? It just should be part of it, no different than cars.
That is the goal, and this grant will allow us to help facilitate that
All
by
right.
getting us a body camera for every position, for any officer that would ever deal with an inmate or a citizen.
Absolutely. Good stuff. All right, thank you for that. It's good enough. I got one question then. Finance or county administrator, can somebody explain where we're going to pull this from?
Yeah, we
It's
already got.
currently contemplated to come out of their existing budget right now.
Okay. And my second question is that, again, if we're putting cameras on ourselves to go out here and make sure that we can cover that. And we'll talk about that legislating later as far as cameras in convenience stores, gas stations, hotels. Again, it's a collective effort. And again, they can't be everywhere. A human can't be everywhere. But cameras strategically placed can capture certain things to help sort of deal with some of the things we're dealing with here in the county. So we'll come back to that later. Thank you so much, guys. Y'all did well. Madam Chair, I yield. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions, board? All right, thank you all. Thank you. We're going to move on to the next item. Tab number 7 is business items. I'll start with the business item. Tab number 7, approval of the juvenile court attorney contract with Daisha Scott to fill the unexpired term of Sylvia K. Lester from April 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, with no impact to the budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Is Director Gordon here, Valerie Gordon? Okay. We'll just move on to the next item. Tab number 8, authorization. We will. We're going to come back to it. Clerk, if you could, you will. You'll try to reach her. I think we in lockstep, Lisa. You know, you read my mind. Tab number 8 is authorization to award an emergency notification contract in the amount of $18,357.07 to the OnSolve Code Red to disseminate the critical mass communication and severe weather alerts to the residents and businesses in Douglas County, to be funded from the 2023 E911 budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. We have with us this morning Director Hartley and Director Milholland. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, Madam Vice Chair, Board of Commissioners, and citizens of Douglas County. OnSolve Code Red is the largest global provider of cloud-based critical communication software. It is our current emergency notification system with Douglas County. This platform provides a mechanism for exchange of critical information and instructions should the need arise during critical events, natural disasters, and severe weather warning events. Code Red will only be activated in an emergency situation where there's a risk of significant harm or urgent threat, or when general notification is needed. This system is not intended to be the sole source of emergency notifications, and it allows for an easy opt-in enrollment. It is the system that we have, like I said earlier, that we've used for quite some time, and Director Milholland will provide some of that historical information regarding Code Red.
The first company we used was a company called First Call. They were bought out by Code Red, I guess, about 12, 13 years ago. And we've kind of stuck with Code Red over the years, and several years we'll look at and compare pricing and everything. But it's a big deal to change from one company to another because of the citizens registering stuff, but we always need to monitor and make sure there's not a newer, better system out there for us to use. A lot of times that we encourage our citizens to sign up for it for weather alerts, but a lot of times for our internal partners like the Sheriff's Office and the City Police Department, we use it if there is a missing child or missing dementia patient. We send it out to everybody that's in our 911 database that we purchased to go along with Code Red, so they can go out to everybody whether they signed up or not, because it's life threatening. You can choose whether or not you want a weather alert and everything. That's what we encourage people to sign up for. But when it comes to people, a missing child or a dementia patient and everything, we want to notify as many people as quickly as possible. And that's where the main reason, one of the main uses of that, the weather alerts are automatic. When weather service issues are warning it out to everybody, the Code Red grabs that information and puts out the calls to the people that signed up for it. When we have a situation where we need to notify people in a certain area about an immediate life safety issue, the 911 operator can draw a polygon around that area. It goes out and it calls every number that it has in that database for that polygon in that area. So that's kind of how we use it. And we've used this system for quite some time. And we just, you would ask us in the past, after so many years of a contract, let's come back and look at them and review. And what this is looking at that contract again and make sure we want to continue with them for another year and evaluate them again at the end of this year.
Okay. Any questions, board?
Madam Chair.
Okay. Commissioner Alvarez, you have the floor.
I greatly appreciate that explanation because you answered a bunch of my questions I was about to come at you with in regards to certain immediate threats, being able to target people in a certain area.
Yes.
Now, when you say it pulls up that 911 database, is that just going to pull up the people who live in that area, or will we be able to ping cell phones that are in that area at that time?
On those, it's mainly because as fluid as the cell phones are and everything, they change more than the landlines do. So it's mainly hitting your businesses is what you're trying to do. You're trying to catch, it'll have some of the cell phone data in there, but most of the ones that when you're pulling that data, it's going to be hard lines at businesses, and you're trying to get those. And actually, they're more apt to answer a phone call. There are a lot of people at their homes and everything, but they have employees, they put it out. We found several people, dementia patients, in businesses and stuff like that. So we know that's an important customer to hit, or group to hit when we're trying to find somebody quickly as we can.
My only other question, and this is just for my own knowledge, is what is our participation rate in regards to people who actually have signed up?
It's gone down. It had been as high as 8,000. We're down to about 3,000 now. Okay. It's that make sure actually signed up. It's gone down. We were talking about trying to do another some kind of to let people know again about we have when we have the festivals and stuff like that, or different groups, everything, we go out there and encourage people and everything. But people don't like getting phone calls, and then when they get the phone calls, a lot of times you'll be surprised if we do a call at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning of a child wandering off. I'll get 100 calls, people complaining that they were woken up, even though there's a missing child. Okay. So then they'll opt out.
Yeah.
But it's just that education part. We're going to try to get out and work with our communications team and see can we get some more people signed up on the free will, because getting the weather alerts is important, because too many people are following the siren system, and I'm not a fan of tornado sirens. We have them in the county, we maintain them, everything, but that is not the best practice to get any kind of weather warning as a siren system. You need a weather radio, and you need to sign up for one of these systems like Code Red or any of the media outlets have to get notifications. That's what we want, just that multiple tier of things.
Yeah.
You need more than one way. One way is going to fail you.
Right.
So it's just part of one of our groups that we try to reach out to their citizens with.
Okay. Thank you. Very well explained. I'll yield, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Alvarez. Any other questions? Vice Chair, you have the floor.
So, thank you both. I just want to commend you because you put everything on your item. You gave me the 3 bids, quotes, everything. Y'all broke that thing down. So thank you. I really appreciate that, and the citizens would appreciate it too, right? Because you heard earlier that things should be transparent, and this is the way you do it. So kudos to y'all for that, first off. The second thing is I am having a town hall, so I would love for you to either give me the information or forward it to Tabria, or you can come. It's on Thursday at 6 o'clock at the Transportation Center. So that we can get those numbers up, because it really is imperative that we have more people opting in to get those notices. So that's the second thing. But other than that, 12 years is a long time to have a contract, right? As being, over the Procurement and Purchasing Oversight Committee, I always say, let's go out, let's look. But in comparison to everything that you all have here, they're doing the same thing, and they're doing it for a little less, right? And so you're comfortable with them, so I have no objections. Thank you for at least going out and seeing what else was out there and giving us the information.
We also make sure that all of this company is aware that if we see they're delaying in notifications,
Right.
we have problems with, we are not afraid to move. We will move to somebody else, even if somebody else is a little bit more expensive. The effectiveness is more in this situation is more important. As long as you're coming in low and you can do the same service. But once you fail to provide what we expect, we will go on to someone else.
I know the citizens are happy to hear it. Thank you so much. Madam Chair, you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I think Commissioner Mitchell, you have the floor.
Just one. I too, the information that you put together and send out to us, that was really good, really good. But my only question though, is this 18,357, is that annually one-time cost?
Yes, that is the annual cost.
Got it. So that's the annual cost for these guys and for what they do. They specialize in what they do. So from my understanding, you can kind of group this into an area and making these calls, or using this data to alert that particular section of town.
Yes, yes, sir.
It's like, when you see when the meteorologists on TV draw their polygon, if that part of the people that are registered in that polygon get the phone calls, if you're in Fairplay and there's a tornado warning or severe thunderstorm warning in Lithia Springs, you're not going to get the call. Same with the sirens. You got to be in that area to get it. They're trying to get better so people are not getting warnings. They do not. So they're not, don't want people to ignore the warnings or get the calls.
Understood. And what's the plan to try to increase, as it once was, that you talked about, that the data that you guys had, well, people had opted in, but now they're opting out, and it's down by over 50%. What are your plans in trying to get that back up?
So we've reached out to both county communications and to the fire and EMS communications director so that we can coordinate some type of public service announcement to folks. And of course, we will, either one of us or have a representative at town halls and just to get the word out to the public, because it's just not folks opting out. We have a lot of new folks that have moved into the county that may not even know.
Correct.
One of the things that we suggested was it's on the landing page for Douglas County, but it's not very prominently on the landing page. So just even changing the color to red so that it will show more prominently for folks that need to register, and then just letting folks know that this is something that we have in the county, and this is a tool for our citizens and our businesses in Douglas County for them to use.
And when those that are notified, does it, in the notification side on the cell phone side of it, does it come to that individual as who's receiving this as a private spam, or what kind of, you may or may not know this, when I'm receiving that call in that area, what am I looking, what would I see on my phone?
So the citizen really chooses how they want to receive the information. You can receive it via text, you can receive a phone call.
Right.
So they kind of choose how they want to receive it. For us, it comes all the ways. So we get both a text that says this is a code red message.
Right.
And it usually comes up via an 800 number.
Got it.
And tells you.
It says emergency.
This is an emergency.
Okay, because I was just curious, because I know.
And it identifies it as an emergency.
Because there's all kind of folk who trying to call and and most of us will hang up or won't even will disengage in that particular phone call, basically.
And we one thing to note is we don't overuse code red, because as Director Milholland said, when you have an emergency notification system, you want to ensure that it is for those emergencies that folks really need to, because if you overuse it, then folks will opt out or they will, not take it as seriously, and we want folks to take it seriously when there's a code red notification issue.
Understood. Thank you. I appreciate it. Madam Chair, you're back.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Mitchell. Commissioner Robinson, you have the floor.
Yeah, no, Commissioner Mitchell was nailing where I was trying to go to. You're trying to balance, freedom and privacy, and giving up certain liberties to. It's the intrusion. Right? When I'm watching, I guess, the main TV, and you get these Amber Alerts and everything. I'm thinking this. Explain the difference between that overrides my TV show, gives me an Amber Alert. It's statewide. It comes in on my phone, scares me to death at 2 o'clock in the morning. Explain the difference between that and what you're talking about. Is it that type of override, or is it, talk to me? What are we talking about?
No, what you're getting out there is a notification system. I've chose not to put the county with that, where we have access to that, because exactly what you're talking about. If we need it, we have something in the county that rises that level. I can call Georgia Emergency Management, and they can put it out there for us.
Okay.
But I was hesitant about having, because the way those come in, that needs to be a protocol situation, and the state has a way for us to access that, but these just come in like on your phone call. It doesn't beep like your emergency notification system, like for an Amber Alert, Maddie's Call, and the ones that that blast your phone out no matter when it is. These are just phone calls and texts that come to you, and an email, depending on how you sign up for it.
No, this is good to distinguish, right? what were we really looking for? My peers helped shape how I was thinking about this. Like, okay, so what are we really saying here? What are y'all? And so now I get the difference. So when you go to the town hall, make sure you distinguish the difference about what this is. So this is a less intrusive. It's not as strong as that amber. It's a step below that. It sounds more convenient. I can opt in. I can opt out. But you still have that overall, the GMA system that you can tap into to get that message out across the board. All right, so, all right, well, I'll let y'all work through this then. I mean, I get what this is not, which is what I was trying to get my feel for. So there's probably a layer, because you said it's targeted. So it's not, just shock the whole system. It's targeted based on need to know or need to be informed basis. So, all right, I like the technology, and if the team over there is comfortable with IT and all the stuff that it takes to get this done, I'm good. So thank you for that, Madam Chair. I yield.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Robinson. Okay, any other questions, board? All right, thank you all. Great presentation this morning. Board, we'll circle back to tab number 7. It's my understanding that our Valerie Gordon is here. Good morning. Okay, Board of Commissioners, tab number 7 is approval of the juvenile court attorney contract with Dacia Scott to fill the unexpired term of Sylvia K. Lester from April 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, with no impact to the budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. You have the floor, Ms.
Yes.
Gordon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just briefly, I do apologize for my lateness. We are in the middle of court at this time, so we are shuffling and trying to accommodate 2 schedules. However, we do have a young lady, Dacia Scott, who we definitely need to come and fill the unexpired term for Miss Sylvia Lester, who decided not to return. We're just asking to authorize that and to authorize Madam Chair to sign all related documents. Legal has done the initial review. Whatever else they need to do would come following our request, but that is all we have.
Okay, any questions, board? Okay, Commissioner Robinson, you have the floor.
Yeah, no, just to that point. So it's no financial impact. So this contract ended, cause, without cause, it doesn't matter. It's in our contract, right? And
Yes.
so now I'll let you answer that first.
No, that is correct. No, it ended she just decided not to renew, so there was no
it's in
cause
the
behind it.
contract, though.
Yes.
County Attorney, are we consistent across the board with contracts, with calls, no calls, 2-week notice? How does that work?
He's here.
We have, over the past several months, made an effort to make all contracts consistent without automatic renewals and all terminable by either side upon specified notice, generally 30 days. We have gotten most of the contracts there. Some have not come to us yet to get those changes, but we're in the process of doing that.
So we're good on this one, though, since this is before us, right?
Yeah, I think that's already been reviewed by the team, and I think it's already there, yes.
And you're comfortable with terms? No?
No changes to the terms. These have been pretty standard for a number of years here, and so I'm comfortable with what is currently in our contracts.
Sounds good. Let's get back to court. Madam Chair, I yield. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Gordon.
Have a great
good
day, everybody.
All right, board, we're going to circle back to tab number 9. Tab number 9 is approval of emergency software upgrade for scales and accounting in the amount of $19,160 to be funded through the enterprise fund, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Director Coward, you have the floor.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning.
Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Commissioners, County Administrator, DCO, ACA, staff, attorney. I don't want to leave anybody out. So yes, we have Paradigm as our software for the scales. It's independent, it's specialized just for that. Scales print off, the printing of your weight, your tare weight, and it also generates the monthly bills, weekly bills that we send out as well. So it crashed 2 weeks ago, and it took us about 3 days to get it back up. In doing that, we're up for we need an upgrade. to keep using this software. The upgrade software we have now is just being phased out by the same company that we have, Paradigm. So the only answer is to do that upgrade. Upgrade's 19,000, where'd it go?
160?
Yes, ma'am. 19,160. And it's a one-time fund. It's going to come out of our enterprise account. So I'm not asking anything for it, just letting you know. It doesn't go over very well, having to pay that to upgrade the system we have, but due to the specialized nature of it, that's really the only choices we can find right now. And if we went with somebody else, it's not just service provider, we would have to get their updated versions that would talk to ours. So it's kind of worms I'm looking into. But for right now, we need this upgrade.
Thank you so much, Director Coward. I believe this board appreciates technology. They understand that as soon as you purchase a cell phone, technology is advancing even further when you walk out of the door. And it sounds like the scales are really old and outdated. So therefore, in my opinion, I feel very comfortable with you bringing this before us. In fact, it's probably a long time coming, and you're here. So, Board, do you have any questions regarding this? Commissioner Carthen, you have the floor, and Vice Chairman, I'm sorry, you have the floor.
Thank you. Director Heath, can you tell us about the software and the scale system? So, just so I'm clear.
Yes.
Right, so is it the scales and the software we are upgrading?
They all interact. So
Okay.
the software is entered. First it's shown on the computer inside the scales, and the other office, hey, this is your weight. This is what you have. So when we have customers come over the scale with a big pull behind trailer full of stuff, we get there, we weigh them, they go dump, they come back and they weigh, and we get the tear weight basically and then charge them. So all of that is in with it, but then the most complicated piece is the printing of the tickets, tracking everything that comes in and through the scales. All that's combined. So the scale is just an actual big, it's a pretty heavy duty and high speed machine in itself, but it talks to the software, and we have to write tickets. I say I haven't wrote a ticket yet, but the last time we went down, it was the ladies in the scale, they're hand writing these tickets, so we don't lose accountability of who's coming and who's not and what they owe. So if you can imagine, we'll generate around anywhere from 600 to 900 people transactions on a Saturday. Handwriting is just not going to cut it.
Yeah, no.
Right,
I get it. And so this is an annual contract, or is this just one time?
This is just to make it work at one time.
Okay.
We've had them for a number of years. Like I said, it's just the software. It's been working. We don't have a yearly.
No yearly maintenance or
No,
or upgrade
we
fee?
have a warranty, so if something breaks, they come out and fix it on the
Okay.
spot. That's really it until now.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, with that, Madam Chair, I yield.
Okay, thank you so much, Vice Chair. Okay. Commissioner?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Robinson, you have the floor.
Thank you. All right, Director, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
All right, real quick, so transfer station, right? The scales,
No.
separate the two.
Transfer station is, it's another whole operation. The scales that we use now up front that go with the software, that weight is being used for those open top containers that we're sending out to Republic.
Yeah.
That's who has that contract. We don't have scales in the building at the transfer station. So in the new transfer station that I'm eager to get kicked off is in the floor where the tunnel comes in. The trailers will have 2 tunnels, not just one, and there'll be a scale right there built in. it'll be a huge printout on the wall, so that operator loads the truck very, very efficiently and much faster than before, and there's no question, parks it. Doesn't have to go merge in with the traffic of the citizens and the local haulers coming through. Right now, we have to stop traffic and get him through there.
No, this is good, again, being able to distinguish the difference.
Yes, sir.
Right. He's asking the right question. So, all right, so in this case, this is, we've got a new transfer that's going to have this whole, so this is a one-time, one-off. How long this is going to last? This is a, I won't call it a throwaway, but it's what we need right now to be more efficient, but recognizing when we bring this new one online, what happens to the old one? It goes away?
No, sir. It stays exactly
It stays
where it's
where it
at.
is. Okay.
The new one it'll have an updated scale that's built into the transfer station, where right now we just don't have the scale, period, in the transfer station, so we have to use this one.
So this will be on top. So transportation go cover this whole big old thing? I'm just trying to.
It's going to, well, that's to be told
I
by the
understand design.
design
No,
group
understood.
what's going to be best, but.
But in your mind, as director, just call it. What do you see
Yes,
here? I'm
it's
trying to
gonna,
understand.
it's gonna take some of the footprint that we have right now. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to continue working the old one until the new one's built, and we can function and make that switch. So it's gonna be close by. It may overlap some. We may have to design a new exit or entrance for the existing one. There's a different possibilities, but that's it in a nutshell, sir. We're gonna build one and maintain one at the same time, and then make that switch.
Understood. Operational logistics, county administrator, y'all, I mean, these are big projects. Again, back to program management, who's going to keep up with all this? I mean, we're mending existing operations, about to build on top of it large new construction and multiply that across the county. But I get it. Thank you very much, Director Cowell. You did well. Madam Chair, I yield.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Robinson. All right, thank you so much, Director Coward. If there are no other questions, Board, I'll move on to tab number 10. Tab number 10 is authorization to amend the Douglas County Code of Ordinances regarding Chapter 5, Article 11, Animal Control Advisory Board. And this item was tabled from February 7th, 2023. And our Deputy County Administrator will be weighing in on this board for us.
Yes, Madam Chair, we would like to retable this until the second meeting in April. Vanessa is under the weather. She's not with us today, but the Animal Services Advisory Board still has this under review. So we'd like to give them 1 month to do that, and then second meeting in April will be ready to move forward.
Okay.
All right.
Clerk, did you make a note of that? So we'll just retable again since it's already made the agenda. Okay. All right, Board of Commissioners, we're going to move on to tab number 11, authorization to allow Douglas County Sheriff's Office to renew an agreement with Cone to perform the code-required 5-year full load safety testing on the 6 elevators within the jail and law enforcement building in the total amount of $20,128 to be funded through the Sheriff's Office Department budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. And this came before you all also, Board of Commissioners, a couple of weeks ago for the courthouse cone. So you have the floor.
Thank you.
Lieutenant Colonel.
Kone is the company that, of course, services the elevators. This 5-year load test is the safety test that they have to perform on it that's required by the state for them to do. And we have dealt with different companies in the past, but we end up always going to Kone because they always repaired it after the other people screwed up. So here we are with them.
Okay. Board, do you have any questions? I think that was pretty self-explanatory. Commissioner Robinson, you have the floor.
Yeah, no, again, sorry. Again, appreciate that, you know, the elevators, cameras, et cetera, our facility needs, you know, maintenance, not just annually, but just maybe some reconstruction in essence. Have you guys done an assessment on the jail and its current needs, seeing that when we came online, back in 2013, it's about a decade old? It's aging. It's not 30 years old like this courthouse per se, but is it, have you got an assessment on the jail and its real needs?
Yes, our maintenance department is actually fixing what they can fix, and whatever we can't fix, that's going to be the big ticket items that we have to come to you to present. But it's a work in progress at the moment. We don't have a complete assessment at the time.
You know, I took a tour. I took a nickel tour, remember, you may not know, but I got a nickel tour when I was going through the budget process, as I do annually with all the elected officials. And there were some things that I noticed, like, ooh, certain things that we shouldn't even be talking about being on a list that has maybe some hazards, some exposure to employees. So I'm going to revisit that offline, again, because here we are back at this place where it's like, okay, I get certain things like, it's like we allow it. And we nod things sometimes where it's like, guys, y'all citizens. We don't maintain like we should. I don't care if it's parks, whether it's our jail. It's certain things like, okay, guys, where's your consciousness? Where's the awareness? We're allowing it. So I'm promoting for you. I'm sponsoring. In other words, I know there's a problem, a couple areas that need to be addressed, and we'll take those up line for security reasons. I'm going to yield the floor for now. Thank you, sir. Madam Chair, I yield.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, board? All right, thank you, Lieutenant Colonel.
Thank you.
Very good presentation. We're going to move on to tab number 12, Board. Authorization to award a consulting services contract in the amount of $197,067.22 to Pond and Company pursuant to the RFQ 19-017 for design services for the Post Road and I-20 Interchange Improvement Project to be funded from the 2016 SPLOST funds currently allocated to the project as recommended by the Transportation Committee, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents subject to final legal review. Deputy Director Rana, you have the floor.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Board of Commissioners. This project comes before the board as a recommendation from the Transportation Committee meeting. This is from our 2016 SPLOST list. This intersection or interchange is a high truck use intersection with some improvements needed on the shoulders and some operational improvements needed on Post Road and eastbound ramp intersection. This contract will cover full design of this project, and the purpose of this project is to evaluate addition of right turn lanes and addition of a signal, and along with some other operational improvements that we'll evaluate in the concept stage. Therefore, we're presenting this for board approval so we can get started on this right away.
Okay. Any questions, board?
Madam Chair?
You have the floor. Commissioner
Director.
Alcaraz.
Solomon, I'm very excited about this. I believe you and I have spoke about this because I have to get on and off of that exit almost daily, and that traffic backs up, especially during rush hour, because of how bad, one, that it's narrow, and then two, how bad the shoulders are, which I'm sure you're very aware of. So I know that all the constituents of District 4 that live down in that area are going to be very happy to see this coming. I've already, just from my short amount of time that I've been in office, this has been brought to my attention quite a few times. So I'm excited to see this coming forth and look forward to seeing that design. I yield back, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Alcaraz. Any other questions? You have the floor, Commissioner Robinson.
Thank you. Is David Good still out there?
Yes, he is.
David, come join Deputy Director Ronald, please. And my question has to do with, in transportation, in dollars remaining in existing SPLOS. There was like 4 projects that we targeted, intersections. You guys know what those are? This was one of them, using $200,000 roughly for intersection improvements. You know what those guys were?
Yes, one of those was I believe it was on John West Road at Bright Star. We also have, I believe it's Reynolds Road at Stewart Mill. That was the second one. And I believe the other one was in South Sweetwater at Doris Road was the other one.
Okay. So those 3 plus this one?
Yes.
Post Road. All right, so to my peers, we had about $800,000 left over out of committee. We split it just as much evenly as we could to move these along. So this is just for design. So to Commissioner from the 4th District, to his point, can you explain, once we do the design, I know you're weighing in, this is a Carol, how long is it going to take you to build this? And is it part of being part of SPLOS 2022? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. So we'll cover the design under 2016 SPLOST, and we'll cover the construction under 2022 SPLOST. As far as the timing goes, what we're planning to do with this one is we're going to phase this out so we can do operational improvements and signal early on in the project, and then let that construction go while the right turn design proceeds, and then we'll come back for phase 2 construction. So we're looking at an expedited schedule for design and construction. Overall, we're looking at 27 months for this project completion.
Commissioner Alvarez, 27 months, setting expectations. All right, you guys answered my question. Thank you, Mr. Good. Thank you, Deputy Director. I just wanted to highlight that while we're making progress, you got to set expectations, guys. We're talking about, through other terms, midterms or past your term. Projects take a long time, construction. Transportation, they are what they are, and you don't want to get ahead. So you should set citizens' expectations accordingly. It takes what it takes. And then we're going to multiply this? You got existing, plus you want to add to this? Now, how y'all going to keep up with this again? Madam Chair, I yield.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner.
And also, real quick, Commissioner Robinson, we also had 4 other projects that just went into design. And so the construction didn't come out of this SPLOST, but the design does, and the construction will come out the next SPLOST. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Deputy Director, certainly the Warren shoulder, I'm in a surgical moment right now. Is there any way we could do something on that Warren shoulder? I know you said it's a 27-month project, and it sounds like it has 2 phases. Is there anything you can do to perhaps triage the shoulder and maybe put a Band-Aid on it or bandage around it to keep the cars? I'm assuming, District 4 Commissioner, those tires are falling over in the tooth of the shoulder, hole. So can you explain what your plans are?
Yes, Madam Chair. So given the excessive complaints we've gotten, we've sent these complaints along to GDOT, since these are GDOT maintained ramps. What we can do is we can follow up with them, and if their usual maintenance calls are taking somewhere from 3 to 6 months currently, what we can do is we can coordinate with the district office and reinforce the importance of this and get a Band-Aid in place for the time being.
Yeah. Okay. I hope that helps. Just for the shoulder right now. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for saying that you would work to see if you could work with GDOT to expedite the at least shoulder repair. All right. We're going to go with temporary repair. I know it's going to be widened later and all that, but we want to do something now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tab number 13, Board, we'll move on, is authorization to accept $424,225 no, this is not. I'm sorry. 4,225.32 square feet of right-of-way dedication of North Burnt Hickory Road for Burnt Hickory Industrial LLC, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. I'm so accustomed to looking at numbers and dollars and cents, but this is actually square footage. So it's 4,225.32 square feet, Board. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Deputy Director.
Yes, and just to make the number easier, it's about 0.1 acres of dedication that the county will be accepting. So this is a distribution center development that has gone through our traditional DRC review process. In the process, it was identified that the classification of the road where this development has to go, it requires additional dedication of right-of-way to the county. Given that process and that comment, this would basically fulfill our UDC compliance for the right-of-way dedication, and this is about 0.1 acres on Burnt Hickory, North Burnt Hickory Road that will be dedicated to the county.
Okay. Any questions, Board? Okay. Is this District 1 or District 2? I believe it's District
Burnt Hickory
1. Is it District 1?
This is District 1.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions, Board? Okay. We're going to move on to tab number 14. Tab number 14 is authorization to accept 6,098.40 square feet of right-of-way dedication on Blair's Bridge Road from Cameron Blair's Bridge Industrial LD or LLC, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Deputy Director Rana, you have the floor again.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This again is a distribution center development. This is in District 2. It is about 0.14 acres of right-of-way that needs to be dedicated to the county to be in compliance with the UDC requirements of the roadway classification and this development. This is in District 2. and we're requesting board approval for accepting this right-of-way.
Okay. Any questions, board? Okay, we're good. We're going to move on to tab number 15. Tab number 15 is approval of an independent contract. And thank you so much, Director. Rana, Deputy Director, thank you so much. All right, tab number 15, approval of an independent contractor agreement for Change Your Story, Inc. for female mentoring program providing services to teens and adults involved with juvenile programs to be used on an as-needed basis to be funded through the Juvenile Programs Administration budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Director King, but we have our Assistant County Administrator this morning presenting. You have the floor, Tiffany Stewart Stanley.
Thank you, Chairman Jones. Director King is actually in some training right now.
Okay.
So what we are coming before you today is to ask for an approval of an agreement for mentoring services with a local LLC, Change Your Story, Inc. The LLC was established in 2015, and the services that they will be providing will be mentoring services, educational services, therapy, and art therapy. The cost for these services is $150 per month per participant. This is on an as-needed basis. The juvenile programs will make a determination of whether someone would need these services and then refer them to the services. So there, we can't give you a defined cost because it's based on how many participants go through the program per month that would be referred over from juvenile programs. So.
Thank you so much, Tiffany Stewart Stanley. Any questions, board, for our Assistant County Administrator?
Madam Chair?
Okay. You have the floor. Commissioner Alcaraz.
I had the pleasure of meeting Miss Angela Williams on Saturday at the Cultural Arts Center. Actually seen her sign out there and remember it from the agenda. Went and spoke with her and got some information in regards to what they do and her passion for what she does. I was, quite surprised to, when talking with her, some of the stories that she gave to me. I'd encourage my peers, if they don't know this of this particular group, to reach out to them to learn about what they do. But it was a pleasure meeting her and hearing what all she does for our community.
Thank you.
I yield back, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Alcaraz. Any other comments, board? All right, if there are none, we're going to move on to, thank you so much, Assistant County Administrator. We're going to move on to tab number 16, board, approval of a statement of work with Civic Plus LLC for Douglas County Code of Ordinance supplementation services in the amount of $3,791.28 to be funded by Department 110's 2023 approved budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Lisa Watson, our county clerk, you have the floor.
Yes, ma'am. This is where we store our code of ordinances and minutes on. It was formerly called Municode, Municipal Code Corporation. They have recently been purchased by Civic Plus. We're going to an annual base fee, which requires the chairman to sign a statement of work.
Okay. Any questions, board? You have the floor, Commissioner Robinson.
Awesome. This is good. So again, we get people, even with me in my office, we looking for code. We should have, County Clerk, this is accessible to the public, right? This is just not an internal tool?
Correct.
Because right now I can go out on municode.com, I can pick Georgia, I can pick Douglas, you can look at our UDC and our ordinance, can I not?
You can, as well as going to our website. You can access it through our website.
All right, so we're 2 points of entry, right? And how often is updated? Like, for example, when we passed stuff here, like last fall, dealing with contract attorneys and conflict, all that, how fast is that updated?
Municode updates it on a quarterly basis, and they send the hard copies of the supplements. I believe, I'll have to check, but I believe for the digital, the website is updated, I think on a monthly basis, but I will go back and check that.
Right, so, when I first came aboard, remember you guys used to do, update our books. Do we still use those books in our office? Do I need that anymore?
Do.
You still
do.
update them? Okay, even though we got online, we have our own little library of ordinances, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, I just want to make that point. I have no problem. They got bought out, but that means nationwide or just us? When you said Civic Plus just bought Municode, I mean, you know how big they were. They were across the nation. It was any state that was registered with them. We're saying we're going to stay with them. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
But it's not a statutory that we have to use them, right? Yes or no?
No.
Do we have to use them?
We do have to codify. We don't have to use them.
Correct.
But we do have to codify.
I have no problem with them. I just
Yep.
wanted to bring that distinction. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm good.
All right, thank you. Any other questions, board? All righty, none. We're going to move on to tab number 17. Tab number 17 is approval of MOUs and funding for the following pre-approved community service providers: Douglas County Community Service Board, Douglas County Chamber of Commerce, Share House, Vision 21, Inc., Department of Family and Children's Services, the Culture Arts Center of Douglasville, Douglas County, and the Douglas County Boys and Girls Club, and the Douglas County Shelter, Inc. Assistant County Administrator Tiffany Stewart-Stanley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we are before you again today from 2 weeks ago, bringing back the request for MOUs and funding for the pre-approved community services providers that were allocated in the budget. We do have all of the documentation for everyone that you see listed on the list here today, and we are requesting that the providers be awarded the money that was allocated in the budget, with the exception of Share House and DFACS, which we were asked to look for additional funding for those organizations. The county administrator identified $25,000 additional funds, which we are asking to split between both of those organizations, which would bring DFACS to $82,500 and Share House to $22,500. We will make sure that when we go through the budget process that we look at all of the organizations and the assessments that are being made and the funding that will be provided for the 2024 budget. I do want to state that all of the organizations will be required to submit reports. And in those reports, they will have to provide information about an update on the projects, were their goals and objectives accomplished, did they experience any challenges. They'll also have to provide quantitative data on how the project affected their target population, as well as they'll have to provide a detailed description of how the funds will have been used, as well as attach an itemized spreadsheet with how the funds will be used for the grant. So we're doing our best. This is a new program for community service providers to have transparency and provide that information where the Board of Commissioners as well as the community will be able to see how the funds will be used. So we're just asking for approval of the agenda item as written.
Any questions, board? Okay. Vice Chairman, you have the floor.
Thank you. So from what I heard, you all have increased the bucket by $25,000?
That's correct.
Okay, and I was looking at some of the MOUs that are on the agenda, and I noticed that two of them are not the same organization, but the same person is over the organizations.
Okay.
And I was wondering why those could not have been combined. I noticed there's an overlap in the Douglas County Shelter.
Housing shelter.
And then, I can't remember the other
I think it may be Vision 21.
And Vision 21.
Yes. I think, so from my understanding, Vision 21 took over the housing shelter some years back, and I think they just have continued to run it and applied for it. So they are applying for it under two different things. But we could look to combine that if that's the will of the board, but from my understanding, that was something that was, when I talked to Pastor Ford about it, was taken over by them in order to continue to run, I believe, something that was going on prior, like a prior housing shelter, from my conversation with him. But I can get you more information as to why it's separate.
I appreciate it. I just
Okay.
like the information because we do have a homeless, or I would like to say they're not homeless, but they're just without shelter for the moment.
Okay.
And so since we do have a high population of that, we need to make sure that we are helping those entities that say that they're doing it, but also tracking that they're actually doing it. Because I get, talk to in the grocery store about what are we doing about the homeless situation. Seeing so Douglas County does not have a permanent shelter, or we just don't have that capacity to do what other bigger counties can do. We have to partner with these entities in order to help. But I actually want to see that help is actually, moving forward if we are allocating the funds. So so if that's an overlap, then let's see how we can combine these. And then also my request, I know you can't make nonprofits or even private organizations work together. But again, right, we're better when we're all collaborating. And so that's one of my requests too. Like, I don't know if we could do something like have them all come in and, have a networking event with our service providers so that they can see where they can collaborate, how they can, exponentially, partner with each other and bring more services to the community. Government can't do everything, but we can at least facilitate how these organizations that are out in the community can help those that we are targeting to help through these types of MOUs and contracts. So that would be my request. And then third, actually following up to make sure that they give all of the information. If they do not give the information, once we have allocated these funds, we cannot continue to support them, right? So those are my comments. I yield at the moment.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Commissioner, Vice Chairman. You have the floor again.
I did want to
Madam
follow up
ACA.
on about the homeless situation. So one of the things that the city of Douglasville and Douglas County, we've been working with DCA on the coordinated homeless entry program for Douglas County. And we had made a lot of progress before the pandemic, but the pandemic kind of slowed it down. I was heading that initiative for the county, and Chelsea Williams, who was the assistant city manager, was heading that for Chelsea Jackson for the city. I know there was a meeting a couple of months ago, and I asked Ms. Cottle to attend on behalf of the county. They had a 2-day planning session. So we are working towards some things with DCA and the city of Douglasville for our homeless population. So hopefully we'll have some updates for you all to come on that moving forward. And I really do like your idea of bringing everyone together. So we definitely would want to do that. And I would also like to state, like I said, we are just developing the program, so we really want to work this year to refine the program and just get it to this optimal operating stage. So we will be working to do that.
And Board DCA, I know you probably, you know the acronym, Department of Community Affairs, but also for the citizens that are listening, DCA, Department of Community Affairs. So we work with, that's okay, Madam ACA. I just, sometimes with those acronyms, I just try to explain it to our citizens that are listening, perhaps. All right. Board, if there are no other questions, and I'll move on. Okay. Commissioner Alcaraz, you have the floor.
I just have a question. I brought this question the last time this was brought around. The one thing I'm just curious about is the Douglas County Chamber of Commerce. We're already funding them through our hotel motel tax, correct?
They were receiving funding. I'm not sure that they're receiving funding anymore. I think we took all the funding to DCTT, if that's correct. Yes, so we're not funding them right now.
Okay, so they're not being funded anymore?
No, they used to be, though.
Okay. Okay. All right. That was my question. I yield back, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Alcaraz. All right, Board, if there are no other questions, we'll move to tab number 18. Tab number 18 is approval of MOUs and funding for the following pre-qualified community service providers: Mu Chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity, Inc., Sigma Omega Omega Chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha, Inc., Legacy of Pearls, Destined 2, Inc., Fit for the Future Community Development Group, Inc., JC Freedom House, the Pink Santa Hat Movement, Inc., Nicholas Center, Inc., and Light and Salvation Outreach and Strides Horse Park. Tiffany Stewart-Stanley, our Assistant County Administrator, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this goes in line with the information from item number 17. These were the pre-qualified community service providers. And when I say pre-qualified, all 5 of the commissioners at the time provided names of organizations that they would like to see be considered for funding. And we had a total of 31 organizations that were emailed the application and given an opportunity to respond. We did receive back 9 organizations who have completed all of the documentation. We have a couple that completed some of them, but we're not recommending them for funding today. we have 9 organizations. Now, I know when you looked at the applications, you saw different requested amounts, but we're just going to recommend $5,000 for each organization. We are looking for people to provide human and health and human services, arts and culture, and community development. So if any of the organizations were able to submit their applications, show projects that they would be using the funding for, and our grants oversight manager, she looked at the information that was provided and made a determination that she felt comfortable with giving funds to these organizations. So right now, we're recommending the 9 organizations to receive $5,000 apiece. We will be coming back before you, giving the other organizations an opportunity to apply for the funding. As noted, this is on a first come, first served basis, but today we're recommending these 9 organizations at $5,000 apiece to provide these services to the community. There was a standard MOU for all of the organizations. When we worked with legal, they felt like it was better to have one standard MOU for everyone, basically saying that they would provide the services in their applications that they submitted. So I'm just asking for approval of item number 18.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam ACA. Any questions,
Madam
board?
Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Robinson, you have the floor.
I'm gonna combine all these in reference to the public comment earlier. All right, we deal with 15, 17 in this one. All right, all at once. Again, to Madam Vice Chair's point, and this is something we talked about maybe, 4 or 5 years about empowering Douglas, about expanding the status quo, about acknowledging other people that are in the community, like these Greek organizations that have been around 100 years, like the Brothers of Cap Appleside that was on the front page of the paper for taking care of tuition back arrearages. Solid. Stop with the nonsense and marginalization of organizations that exist. Just because you don't know about them don't mean they're not bringing value. They don't have to jump into any more hoops than people been on the books forever, as if they baked in, that they're entitled. I just can't sit here and just listen to that. I can't. Because it's a narrative that marginalizes and validates. These people really care. To Commissioner Alcor's point, there are people out there that really want a shot to move up. What we're talking about right here is like, 5,000 times, one time in 100 years. Oh, but you don't say nothing about everybody else who slipped through the back door was getting funded forever, gave no reports. Ooh, have no existence that even, well, how did they even get there? Silence. This double standard, like, okay, we can play that game, but it go both ways. You can't just look outward and don't look behind. Like, you ain't looking at yourself. You don't look what you've left. Be consistent. I appreciate it. I mean, I appreciate the double and the higher standard. It's like, no, you got to get in the ring as well. Everybody gets to get evaluated. It's the same standard. I have no problem with us taking it to another level. Codifying things. Transparency. But at least we're doing it. There was no, we got to go find stuff. Like, well, how were y'all making these decisions? How did that get on the books? How did that get baked into the budget? Ooh, oh, nepotism. Don't say that. All them comments I've heard, like, really? And what was the commissioner, what, signed a jail contract for what, $500,000 for a sprinkler, then we had to fire him 6 months later for incapacity to be able to deliver? Silence. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. And that's my point. Like, I appreciate it. Just be consistent. Be consistent in how you make reference to what we're talking about in transparency. We've been the most transparent. Right? You pretend like there was nothing there. Now you want to say, oh, well, they got to be more transparent. Like, really? I've watched this thing move. I've watched decisions. I've watched who got what. Silence. I get it. What about the judge and everybody, they up there spotting their nonprofits through their court system? We can't do nothing about it. I get it. We can put a standard in place. You're silent. But if it gets expanded for somewhere where you don't like or you don't know them, then all of a sudden it's, oh my God, the sky is falling. Oh, they're doing something. No, we're not. We put it in front of your face. This is where we're going. That decision. But I mean, just for me, I can only speak for myself. But please don't, I mean, while I appreciate that, it goes both ways and it requires a response accordingly, at least for the residents and citizens of District 2. why I advocate for this, and I think it's important, which is something I campaigned on, which is about civic and social engagement. The government can't do everything. There are nonprofits out there that just need a little nudge, a little help in the right direction. That's how they become scaled. Right? We're not saying funding forever, but at the same point, there should be performance evaluation. But the question whether or not to consider them now is not even a question for me. But it's true, like, okay, we'll come to the table, bring it, we'll see how this works out, and we go from there. All right, Madam Chair, I made my point. I yield. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Robinson. Any other questions, board, or comments? All right.
Madam Chair?
Okay, Commissioner Alcaraz, you have the floor.
This really isn't a big deal, but when looking at this, how are all these like grouped together? Because I see like the J.C. Freedom House does about the same work as the Share House. I mean, it really doesn't matter. They're both on here for the MOUs, but to Commissioner Robinson's comment right there, I agree. I think that at the end of the year, we need to look and see. I want to see a performance data, see what they've done. You know, it's going to come with the reports that Vice Chair Carthen mentioned also as well, but I think we should all be provided with that so we can see exactly what they did and stay on top of that. And if they did not perform, again, I agree, they don't get the funding next time around. But we just need to stay on top of them and see what they do with the money, make sure it's good use for our community. And if you could just, at the end of the year, just have them provide us with a report, that would be great. Madam Chair, I yield.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Alcaraz. And I believe that is the intent, isn't it, Madam ACA?
Yes, there's actually 2 reports that will be due, and we'll make sure that you all have both of those, and then we can do an end-of-the-year summary of everyone who all complied, who did not. So when it's time to make the decisions for the budget, we'll be able to provide you with that information as well.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Commissioner Alcaraz. Any other comments, board? All right, if none, we'll move on to tab number 19. All the remainder are yours. Tab number 19, authorization to execute an FY 2023 budget letter from the Department of Family and Children Services in accordance with the approved budgeted amount in $6,875 per month, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. You have the floor, Madam ACA, again.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this letter was also on the agenda from 2 weeks ago. This is the letter that DFACS needs to submit to the state with the contribution that the county will be providing. The letter is being amended to show the new proposed amount of $6,875 per month, which would make the $82,500 yearly contribution that the county will be giving DFACS. So we're just asking for approval of the letter.
Okay, any questions, board? Appreciate you. No, thank you so much, Madam ACA. This letter is definitely time sensitive, and we did acknowledge that we'll bring it back before the board today. All right, we'll move on to tab number 20, approval of the contract amendment number 3 with Terminus Municipal Advisors, LLC, for government financial support services term April 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, in the amount of $17,000 per month to be funded from the finance personnel budget with no impact to the budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents subject to final legal review. Madam ACA, Tiffany Stewart Stanley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as we know, Terminus Municipal Advisors has been providing general government financial services and support to our finance department. As you know, we are a department in transition right now as we are using Terminus. Ms. Rosalind Miller is in the role of the acting finance director, chief financial officer. However, at this time, she will need some additional support in order to move forward with running the finance department and with things like our budget process. And so we are asking to amend the contract. Right now, the total is $8,700 per month for the general government financial services and support. We're asking to amend the contract by $12,370.22 for an additional support, more specifically looking to bring in someone with a level of expertise in financial management, being a finance director. The person that we are looking to bring in has experience, over 30 years of professional accounting experience, has served as a finance director, and is a CPA. to provide that additional support that's needed in our finance department, which would make the total for the amount, I believe, a little bit over $21,000, was what the contract would be. So we have 17,000 on the agenda. It was supposed to be an additional 17, but now it's an additional 12 instead of the 17. So for a total of $21,070.22 is what the ask is. And I'll yield for any questions.
Any questions, board? Okay. Commissioner Carthen, you have the floor. Vice Chair, you have the floor.
So, then this is probably a question for Ms. Miller. Good morning. And I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I think everyone in here is aware that our finance director did take another position in another county. And although we hated to lose her, we do understand more money and more opportunities, people will leave. So we get it, right? We can't hold them hostage. However, can you help us to understand so that we can, because I know people are going to be texting me and calling me about this item. So can you just help us to understand where these additional funds will be going, how this will help us to integrate, not having her while we're continuing to look. And then second of all, I guess this would be to our county attorney. What would be the terms and parameters if we find our finance director that we can terminate this contract at this amount? So those are my two questions.
Okay, so what's before you is a contract from April 1st to the end of the year. And what we've found is like with the CFO, there's a lot of also administrative, with the staff or also just training and assist the staff. And what we found last year is that we did have to file an extension for the audit. So with that gap between the CFO and then the staff, you need somebody to actually, I guess, gatekeep or run the department for unusual type items. So MAC will help with the audit, making sure that we do not file an extension this year and reviewing all the schedules. There's over 100 schedules that the auditor requires. So he will be helping review those schedules, and also auditors. Once they go away, people think they're gone, but they're not, because they start calling and emailing. So you have to provide them with details. So the main concentration from April through December will be with the audit.
Oh, okay. So this is not to augment the staff, but just to mainly
Right. It's a resource and
Okay.
just a supplement to help us do the audit. Because currently, you have your accounting supervisor that she can do all the schedules, but there needs to be oversight to review the schedules.
Okay. And then, so in terms of finance, so I'm assuming we still do have positions that need to be filled in that office?
Yes, you have two. You have the CFO, well, more than two, because the board approved additional positions. So the new positions are an internal auditor and then also a grants manager.
Okay.
And then you have your CFO that's vacant, and then you have your deputy CFO that's vacant.
Okay, so this person will kind of be, the money that we would fund those positions with, this person is taking that. Is that what
That
makes
is
this
correct.
budget
That's,
neutral?
yes, yes, that is correct.
All right, got it. So then then Attorney Coleman doesn't have to answer it, because this person will help us until the end of the year. That's what they're designed to do for our audit purposes.
That is correct.
Okay, got you. Thank you so much. I yield, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you, Vice Chair. Any other questions, board? All right, we'll move on to the next item, tab number 21, approval to enter into a public relations service agreement with CSI Crane LLC in the amount of $6,000 per month to be funded through the Communications Department budget with no impact to the budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Madam ACA again, Tiffany Stewart-Stanley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I would like to say our Communications Department is also a department right now that's in transition. And so we've worked with CSI Crane last year from October through December. The Board of Commissioners approved a contract for public relations services. And I will say they were instrumental with helping us with our message development, our media relations, our internal communications, and just really helping us to frame our communications department. Right now, what we're asking for is to reconvene that contract, run that contract from March until August of 2023 to help, like I said, shape our department. The original contract, I believe, was $7,000 a month. This time it's $6,000 per month. As you know, right now we currently don't have a director, so we would be using some of the funding that would have paid for that director January through March for this contract. And so it would be no impact to the budget to provide for CSI Crane to continue to provide those services or reconvene providing those services from the end of the contract in December. So we're just asking to move forward with an addendum to reconvene the contract.
Thank you so much, Madam ACA. Any questions, Board of Commissioners? Okay. Being none, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Alcaraz, you have the floor.
This too, is just as Vice Chair Carthen spoke about the other contract. Is this contract, I mean, is it just going to stay all the way till the end, or if we get a communications director that's actually going to be doing the same exact work, are we going to terminate that contract, or will we be paying both?
So the intention is to run this contract to August, because if we do get a communications director, there's a lot of work to be done over there. So right now, the intention is to run it to August, but we do have a 30-day out with the contract. So if for some reason we feel like we are where we need to be and we want to end the contract, we can. But I will say right now, the intention will be to have CSI Crane working in conjunction with whoever we get for the communications director in order to just make sure we're getting the messaging out that we need for the county, and making sure that we have our internal communications correct, our media relations. And if we bring someone new in, they'll need time to kind of, get the department together, get their staffing together, make an assessment of the department. And I think just having someone who's already on board that can deal with a lot of the media relations and things that we have going on right now, I think will be beneficial for the county to have that in place. But if we do decide as a county that we want to end that contract, we do have the 30-day out.
Okay, you answered my question. Thank you. I yield back, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you so much, Commissioner Alcaraz. All right, Commissioner Robinson, you have the floor.
Yeah, no, I have no objections to the contract, because every now and then you need specialty. Special ops, I've got to go to the eye doctor, and I'm not just dealing with a generalist. I need somebody who understands tertiary, right? And so every now and then you may have to engage somebody above and beyond your general practitioner to get stuff done. But you bring up a point. I'm saying, it takes time to ramp. If we were to bring on a new director of communications or finance, it takes time for them to ramp up a pre-existing system. I'm going back to my SPLOS. We're trying to buy time just to fill one area. We got something the size of our entire budget that's about to drop. One more time. Now, I'm making my point. And I'm not going to let y'all forget this. Like, guys, get ahead of this. Get it ahead of this so it's not so much of indigestion as relates to our execution. See, we're empowering. We're giving resources. We're giving money. It's up to administration to implement the will of the board. So our question sometimes, just to clarify, is to check and balance. Like, all right, y'all, you guys okay? Y'all got this, right? You're good, right? We've withheld nothing, right? We've given you everything you need to do to deliver your services, fulfill your careers. All right, so the point is, but we expect a certain amount of execution. Now, we'll take the hits publicly. But then that's why we have to have these conversations every 2 weeks. We're not here day to day. We got to come here and get comfort. And so sometimes our questions are appointed. I know, Madam Chair, they're out there, but they can always look at us and review. They can fast forward stuff. But we're here about business. And I need to get my questions answered and drive home certain points. All five of us bring something to the table for 1,200 people to give them direction, notwithstanding our peers elected. Not take it serious. And so again, I'm listening and I'm like, okay, we got this, but we need to be acknowledged. Because like, okay, we'll catch you later. That, like, okay, there are consequences to your point of contracts that don't get fulfilled. To my peers' point, like, okay, I'm looking at the reports. I'm like, okay, I don't see y'all fulfilling, okay. So I get it. I just want to drive home my narrative, Madam Chair. I'm good, thank you. I yield.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Robinson. All right, Clerk, we do have, for executive session, it'll be board appointments, and then I'll move to tab 23. Is that also for executive session, or just, okay, it's general discussion? Tab number 23, board. Tiffany Stewart-Stanley, you have that one as well. It is a discussion of combining the Economic Development Committee with the Tax Abatement Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe there was some information that was requested by one of the commissioners about combining the tax abatement with the Economic Development Committee for efficiency purposes. And so I think that the idea was to bring before the board today for a discussion amongst the Board of Commissioners for movement. So.
Okay, thank you. All right, Commissioner Robinson, you have the floor.
To Commissioner Alcaraz's point last time, I think we went, as a board, we considered consolidating public safety and fire and EMS. As a fellow commissioner, it's his call, whether how we choose to go about doing that. But it triggered, says, okay, well, what about economic development and tax abatement? I mean, when was the last time the Tax Abatement Committee met? I don't think they met last year. I'm on the Economic Development Committee. It's a standing committee, and I'm a committee of one. How about that? So you got one person that's driving the economic development by the singular self as a standing committee. If you got a committee with all the rest of y'all, they're on there, the tax commissioner, the DCA, all y'all sitting on this committee, y'all ain't met all last year. So what happened to the measurement of those people who are on the digest? That are they paying or doing accordingly? So we want to hold these little bitty $5,000 people accountable for what they're supposed to be delivering. And y'all are silent about these 14 people on the wall. Be consistent. So my point is that, okay, well, let's consolidate these guys. I mean, they're the same function. Economic development spurs, tax abatement looks at the backside. Are they doing what they committed to on the front side? Do y'all see how these fit together? They're like public safety, it's all one. I agree with them, like, change it. So I'd like for my peers to consider consolidating them. I don't even think, I don't recall looking at our committee structure that there is actually a tax abatement standing committee. I know it may be select, but if we're not meeting, then it shouldn't be out there. And I'd like that consideration allow those same members to roll into economic development. We can deal with both issues at the same time. But again, I'm gonna let my peers weigh in. I have no problem being the sole voice for economic development. I got this. But hint, transparency, like, gosh, y'all gonna give me that much power? Nobody want to be the vice chair? I'm saying, okay. Okay, well, Chris just called me, holler at me. Pay attention. All right, Madam Chair, that's all. I wanted to put it there. We don't have to do anything right now. This was a discussion. Let everybody think about it, all the members, people that were part of this. I'm not looking for action today, but I did want it to be discussed as, you know, all of us can bring something forth.
Okay.
That's all I want to do right now, Madam Chair.
Oh,
Thank
Commissioner.
you.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Robinson. Respectfully, this Tax Abatement Committee, we've already, and correct me if I'm wrong, Clerk, we already have the dates set for those meetings? Yes. And typically, those 14 companies that you're talking about, we are planning to meet with Chris Pumphrey and the entire committee, tax commissioner, the whole 9 yards. So we've already set those meetings up, and it's not a standing committee. It's really like an ad hoc because it's really one meeting out of the year, but I believe I have 3 set up. Is that correct?
I think so.
And our service is the chair of that. So if we want to combine them, we can. You're welcome to join us at my tax abatement meeting. That's up to you. But we've already made arrangements and the meetings are set up. And I do agree with you. We didn't meet during the pandemic, particularly last year and year before, but we did. I kept in touch with Chris Pumphrey to make sure that the task was completed for those 14 entities. So that was something that was off the cuff a little bit, but this meeting is not, this committee is certainly not one of our general standing committees. It's really, I believe it's considered an ad hoc. It's select. So just want to let you know, we own it. So it's like we already have the meeting set up. Would love for you to join us.
Madam Chair, so to this point of order, can we get a copy of what you guys met with, like what is the results though?
We haven't met, when is this set up, Lisa? Is it April?
March 23rd is the first.
Yeah, we have March 23rd is our first meeting. That's-
Not so much as you, but all right, so somebody is making payments to us on behalf of some type of profile. They agreed to, we're going to give you this type of incentive plan. And you're supposed to be making these payments based on some type of period of time. And you're supposed to be giving us jobs based on a certain period of time. And are you timely? That should be done independent of you as the chair of this county. Somebody out there need to be monitoring this. That's in some report somewhere. They just need to collectively pull it together and give it to you so that we can all see it ourselves. I'm not saying you, Madam Chair, please.
Right.
It's the system, like
Right,
guys.
right.
Where do we stand with this? That's all I'm saying. So I'm on your side, Madam Chair. I got you. Staff, respond to this. Y'all can't give us what we need to know what's going on? Like, I mean, that's just my only point. All five of us deserve to know where this stands. I mean, look, we always are getting called for new incentive, but what do we do? I mean, are they realizing what they're supposed to? You committed to 400 jobs and only got 200? Oh, we gave you this amount, but we getting that? How do we give account for that? Where's that reporting? Are we about to beat up these little small nonprofits over $5,000, but we're going to give $150 million?
Yeah.
And as advanced and sophisticated as they are, silence. Ooh, look at that. I get big business, I get economic development. Look, I ain't got no problem with it. But be consistent. Don't hold these small guys to just like make them just jump, but then you, yes, sir, to capitalism. Like, no, I'm not that guy. That's what I'm saying, man. I'm gonna push this. Like, where's the data? I mean, my citizens want to know. Be consistent. I mean, it's just respectful. They have these advanced systems. They have high-powered attorneys and investment bankers and stuff. Y'all can't get us no reports. But you're going to be able to these little guys who barely can, they know how to deliver services. Be consistent. It's about equality. Even in how we measure, guys, even how we hold people accountable that we get taxed about. They should be the same spirit. All right. I mean, the point, we'll take it off the line. We're fine. I just wanted to discuss it. That's what it was for. We're good. Thank you.
Okay, and I do also thank you so much, Commissioner Robertson. I also want to add that our finance team will be there, David Corbin and then Rosalind Miller as well. So we will have a report. We'll just roll the report out to you to give you an update. But our first meeting, official meeting, is March 23rd, which is Thursday. So we'll keep you posted. Any other comments? Okay, Vice Chair Carthen, you have the floor.
To Commissioner Robinson's point, when I was on the Tax Abatement Committee, which was my first year in office, it was 2019, we did meet and we would get the reports from Breezy and Chris Pumphrey and our Board of Assessors, which was our chief appraiser. And they would bring in the reports, Commissioner Robinson, and we would go down the line of who was compliant and who wasn't. And it was really a good exercise of who was being accountable for what. The committee really is needed. I don't know if it needs to go in the Economic Development Committee. It could, but the Tax Abatement Compliance Committee, meeting at least twice a year, to my knowledge, would have been would really suffice. Although you're doing 3, great, because you haven't met in a few years, I understand that. But ensuring that those entities that we have given these tax abatements to were in compliance, because if they weren't, I don't know if the citizens knew this, but we could claw back those incentives that we've given them. So that was one of the reasons why we wanted to make sure that the jobs that they were actually committing to were fulfilled. The amount that they were actually putting into infrastructure in the county was fulfilled. So those types of things is what the Tax Abatement Compliance Committee was set up to do. And then in turn, making sure that if they wanted to extend their tax abatement, which one of the companies in the county wanted to do, that they had already completed what they had promised beforehand in their previous tax abatement. So I have no objections to combining the committees, but I do know that the Tax Abatement Compliance Committee is well needed and I think should continue. But those are my comments. And any of this information is open and is record, and any citizen can get this information. Again, it was housed, it was given to us, but it's also housed at your Board of Assessors. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Vice Chair. Certainly, this is a moment for me to just kind of get in just a little bit. This committee was developed because of my suggestion in 2017 when I came on. That was a question I had. I said, how do we keep up with these 14, the big 14? And we developed a meeting and pulled a task force together. And at the time, Vice Chair Robinson jumped on board with me and a few others, and we pulled the task force together. So I agree, it is very meaningful. It's very important. It's just that we, again, the communication has been, we've been keeping a thumb on the pulse with Chris, but we haven't, he has the reports, but it hasn't been official. We're going to make that official again. That's why we're trying to ramp up this actual, and again, it's just a regular ad hoc committee. But definitely we have a plan to meet. And certainly if the information is not valuable, we can certainly at that time, I would love to consider combining the two. But we want to make sure that we have valuable information and make sure that we've checked all the boxes to make sure that this board is well aware if these companies are providing, if they're doing what they're saying they're going to do. If they're hiring 400 people, if they said 400, did they hire 400? So that information will be made available hopefully this week, and we'll make sure I get it out to you all. Any other questions, board? Okay, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Robinson.
Managing Director Worthington and it's Allison out there. Are they out there?
We have Managing Director Worthington here.
Is Allison out there? All right, let's talk about cameras out in the community. I want to get a status on that legislation that I've been putting forth. You guys are just going to go do some homework. You're supposed to work with legal, other departments to gather data and come up with a path forward for us for consideration. Can you give us a status on that real quick?
Sure. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So the camera ordinance, the Planning and Zoning Department, under the direction of Allison Duncan, has been working with Cheryl Ringer, who is one of Michael Coleman's folks. They've been working to draft up that legislation. They're working towards that policy. The policy will be ready whenever the board is ready to present it. As far as the public hearing goes, the direction we've been given at this point is to hold off on the public hearing until further notice.
Okay, say it again now. Hold off on the public notice. Why are we holding off on public? Why?
That was the direction I was given.
Okay, Madam Chair, did you give direction to?
Who did you get the direction
That was
from?
from C.A. Corbin.
Oh, County Administrator.
Dr. Corbin, help us understand, and put this to the side. I know he's just coming on board now. You got to be fair for that. This is something that, as any commissioner, our authority, in our orders, that any one of us singularly do not need votes, that we can put forth legislation for consideration to move us forward. This was something that's important. Again, one more time, it's about crime. This is not about administrative tasks. It's about community crime. Right? It takes a precedent. It has a priority over internal. This is what we're here for, to represent the interests of our citizens, not staff. Our job is to give you our resources and money to help fulfill the representation and the interests of the citizens that hired us. So I wanted to come back to it, and you knew I was going to come. I'm glad you're ready for this. We want to move this forward. We want to hear what the public has to say, both commercial and residential, regarding this matter. Now, wait, so we want to spot the sheriff deputies and stuff with cameras. But then, what about the other part? What about the commercial establishment? We're going to put stuff inside the jail cameras, but yet we're not being holistic. I'm going to do cameras. We just asked that question in our last meeting. Are the cameras the same as on the block, to the vest, to the buildings that at the convenience store? We were told in our last thing. I go back and look at the meeting minutes, but she said, the lady said, well, they said what they said. The camera's a camera. You can read it all. I know our IT probably has the capacity to say, okay, does this technological standard meet all three at a base? I mean, we're not talking about satellite GPS, but I mean, it's good enough. Then as far as I can see to the end of that wall, I can only see this far, but I get it. But I don't understand why there's a pause when you've done all this work. That's what this is for, to get a hearing from the citizens to move forward. And out of that, when the citizens come, commercial, residential, they make their points. If the board chooses to, take action, it's at that point. But I'd like to know why there's a stall, and there really shouldn't be a stall. I think there needs to be clarity of what the board's priority. I'm not caught up in the day-to-day only. I have multiple hats I have to play. I am a legislator. Right? We're looking at code. You guys are coming before us. Y'all put things forth. We put things forth. But this one I'm serious about. While I'm in Washington, I'm talking to my DeKalb County colleagues. I'm getting in and saying, now, how did y'all roll that out? What's my purpose for being here? To get insight, to advance ourselves. So I'd like to, Madam Chair, I'd like for staff to come back with when we're going to have this hearing. I know they have to do announcements. How long does it take for you guys? What's the legal order? What's the process with this?
We have to advertise in a window between 15 and 45 days prior to the public hearing.
15 to 45 days. You guys will work with Dr. Corbin and the county clerk, right? Can y'all schedule that for us, to at least give some dates of consideration, so by the time we come back together, we can keep this going?
Sure.
Because this is something that could help in the process of keeping crime down, sending messages, help solve crimes. Sometimes you got cameras, and we don't necessarily have to pay for stuff. Some things is already there. We can capture different angles, different corners. And so we're trying to move things forward, but there's no reason to pause. I didn't ask for a pause. I don't see why. A hearing is a hearing. It's a hearing. That's what it's for, to let the citizens come talk. That I have a problem with. I like to let citizens vote. Referendum, let them vote. Let them speak. Let them weigh in with their hearing. So I don't know why are we prohibiting the citizens to speak. Why are we censoring their capacity to come speak? That's what's like, y'all done all the work and now all of a sudden we're going to say not let them speak? Why are we not having a hearing? I understand you got a schedule. I respect the county clerk, what she has to do. She knows that. It's not about her. It's not about you. But we need to keep the thing moving, guys. So, Madam Chair, I'm going to yield and let you and your staff work that out. Can you come back to us respectfully? Because it's something, you've worked with the DA. You've heard the sheriff. They all said, yeah, we want this. We could use this. It's just a hearing.
Absolutely.
I'll yield, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Can you make sure we get a note?
I'll talk to, I'll take County Administrator. Managing Director, if you could come back up to the podium.
Madam Chair, I'm assuming that we're in commissioner comments at this point in the agenda?
Yes,
Just to make
you
sure
are.
I'm correct. So, Director Worthington, while you are at the podium, can you give the citizens an update on the driver's development services? I know you gave me an update last week, but just to
Certainly.
make it public so that everybody else knows what I know.
Certainly, and I believe I mentioned it before, but the general contractor that we're working with is FH Passion, and they had parted ways with their grading contractor and had to get a new grading contractor on board. That grading contractor is on board. They're on site. They mobilized back out last week, and they are working this week. I went by there this morning, actually. So they were out there last week, and they're working this week. We're probably looking at probably about another month of work, depending. Hopefully the weather holds out. It's been pretty good for us right now. So trying to look to get that wrapped up so we can get that transition over to the state. Once that transition takes place, the state will have their own general contractor come in to build the actual building.
And we're looking at, just for the citizens who want to know when it will possibly be on board, what are we looking at in terms of time frame?
I would say most likely, probably looking at very early part of next year. Some of the long lead items for the state for the actual building, like the generator and switchgear and things, some of those are nearly a year out, but their contractor's already on board, so they've ordered a lot of those long lead items, but they ordered them, say, a month or two ago, which would kind of put it right at the beginning of next year to be able to complete the project.
Okay, so we're looking at 2024 as a possible completion date and ribbon cutting, and people can start utilizing the services.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for the update. With that, Madam Chair, you'll.
Okay, thank you so much, Vice Chair. All right, thank you so much, Managing Director Worthington. All right, Board, if there are no other comments, it's 12:04. Certainly would just want to, it seems like, let me tap into our attorney. County Attorney, do we need to go into executive session?
Briefly, Madam Chair, to discuss the personnel matters.
Oh, briefly, I like that. All right. Board of Commissioners, certainly, and the citizens of Douglas County, if you could just bear with us, we are going to take a pause for the calls for the Board of Commissioners to engage in an executive session, and we will return, I will say momentarily, based on the comment by County Attorney Coleman. With that being said, Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion, Board? We have a motion and a second. When I call your districts, please respond accordingly. District 1? Yes. District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
Chairman, yes. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote and the motion carries. I will ask if everyone can exit the room. Okay, thank you so much, Sierra. Thank you. Board of Commissioners and to the citizens of Douglas County, we are back live again on video and also TV, television. And certainly, Board of Commissioners, thank you so much for engaging in our executive session. Is there any other, do you have any other comments, boards, or anything at this time? Okay, if there are no other comments, I do want to remind our citizens tomorrow, we do have a 6 p.m. Board of Commissioners legislative meeting tomorrow, which is March 21st at 6 p.m. here in Citizen Hall, and would love you to attend or either watch us live on television. If there's nothing else to come before this body, Board of Commissioners, this meeting is adjourned.